Awesome. Welcome back to Project Calm, episode 14. My name is James. I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest, Ginette. How are you doing, Ginette?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. How's your
Yeah, do you
morning
have,
been?
oh, my morning's busy as usual. Good news is I'm able to walk without crutches now. But the, but the one weird thing is like every 200 steps or so, like randomly my knee gives out. So I will stumble. But luckily, like I am a bit athletic, so I haven't like fallen, like had a hard fall or anything like that. I'm able to catch myself, but hopefully, I just went to the doctor yesterday. They said things should improve over the next few weeks, and it's completely normal. But
That's great. Good.
do you have anything cool you're working on this week, or any cool projects, anything like that?
Hmm. I have my breath work coming up next week that I do every other week. So I was just working on my playlist. I always like to find new music for that because I want to like the music as much as my
Yeah.
clients taking the breath work. I've been doing a lot of walking outside now that it's fall and the weather's so beautiful. Well, almost fall. The weather's been beautiful here in New York.
Mm.
So just like extra time walking outside. I'm a very physical person too, so I feel like that's really helpful for me with just extra energy, or if you're someone who feels anxious at all, it's like a good way to discharge some of that. So,
I completely agree. I love the customers when they text me, like one of the problems is fatigue. And then I always go like, have you tried exercising? I know it sounds counterintuitive, like exercising should get you tired, but it actually like really helps just with overall energy. And so many people have so much pent up like negative emotions, anxiety and stress, and that's where exercising can help release that. But breath work can also help release that as well. Can you give the audience like a bit of a background on what you do, please?
yes. So, I'm a medical intuitive, an energy healer, and a breathwork practitioner. Um, I love breathwork and got into it because it's so empowering. It's something anyone can do. You're just using your breath. You're doing it right now, but it's breathing in a consistent way, in a pattern that kind of just shuts off the part of the brain that judges and is making lists and telling you're doing things wrong or you're not good enough. It kind of shuts that part of the brain down, which is a great thing. That allows your vibration to rise and you to get into more of a flow state, which I feel like some athletes understand that, or you, James, if you've ever
Oh
when
yeah.
you've ever worked out, right? It's like time goes by and things just seem easier. Or if you're doing something creative, the same thing, or even packing up the orders that you get,
Yeah.
depending where your mind is, it could just be easier and just like things flow. So that's why I love breath work and just for releasing anxiety and depression and connecting you to your creativity, and I would say like your inner being, like the wise self you
Mhm.
have within, not all that chatter of the brain that's just constantly going, because I feel like so much of us are up in our head and not in our body, and there's just so many books about where stress and tension and anxiety lives and how it lives in the body, right? So breath work um, helps activate the vagus nerve. Now, your
Yeah.
vagus nerve is always activated, so it's kind of that it helps it become more flexible, right? So the vagus nerve is the only cranial nerve that leaves the brain and goes to all of the organs, right? James, I know you know this. And 80% of those nerve fibers are bringing that information up to the brain. So if the body isn't feeling safe, right? If you've been stuffing things down and not dealing with them, those emotions are still there, and they come out at unexpected times when you get triggered, right? So once that happens and the body's not feeling safe, it's now sending those signals to the brain. And then the brain's like, okay, we're not safe. I better secrete some stress hormones. We need to run. We need to get out of here, or we need to hide, whatever your response is. So breathwork helps to calm that, to make the body feel safe, and then send different signals to the brain. So it can release like calming, feel-good hormones, serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin. So that's my little spiel about breathwork.
That was perfect. I was gonna ask you, like, if for a newbie who's never heard of breath work, like, what is breath work? Because, like, I mean, am I breathing? Am I doing breath work right now? But you've explained it perfectly. How did you get into breath work yourself?
So I'm always looking for things that are easy, like things that can make a change that isn't hard or complicated, because I work with people who have, like, I do medical intuitive work. So that means if something's going on with someone, like physically, or they have a diagnosis, but it doesn't seem right to them and they want more answers, they'll come to me. So I always like to find the simplest way to heal or to make a change, because I feel like a lot of us, like the overthinkers, we could really complicate things and be trying to find more things to do and add things on, and we just overwhelm ourselves even more. So I meditate, right? And I was doing my own form of breath work, and what came to me was breathe, receive. And I was like, okay, breathe, receive. This is good. I like this. So, and I kept hearing about breath work from different people. And I just got an email one day that someone was offering a breath work. And I had zero idea of what their breath work was like. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. When you get that like resonance, like you're like, oh, that's a really good idea. And I'm like, I'm going to go for it. I have no idea what's going to happen. And for me, my brain was freaking out the whole time. It took me so long to calm down, because it's like that judgmental part was like, you're doing this wrong. I cannot breathe this long this way. What is this person crazy? I can't breathe that fast. I can't do this. Like, I was really freaking out. Yeah. But once I calmed down and I was like, Ginette, you're just breathing. You're laying down and breathing. Like, let's relax here. Like, I had to reframe it. And then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to, like, that's the surrender. Like, let it go. Just focus on the breathing pattern. And then when we were done and we went into the integration portion, that's the, after you do the active breath, you kind of just lay and integrate what happened. Tears started streaming, and I felt so much love for myself, like something I had never felt, because I was always like hard on myself and judgmental. And I was like, why am I ever hard on myself? I'm perfect. Like, I love myself. I really never felt that before. And the first time was during a breathwork class, and I was like, that's it. I need to really look into this and learn this. And after that class, I signed up to learn to become a breathwork practitioner, because I was like, that's it. I need more of this. I need to share this with everybody. So, like, not everybody's experience is like that on their first time. Like, James, you did a breathwork, like you could feel activated, right? You could feel like, oh, I thought this is going to be really calm, and I feel activated, and I don't feel calm at all. But it's like the oxygen has to get into those deeper layers where you have things stuffed and it hasn't really reached those layers for a while. And it's like, as that unwinds and works its way out, you could feel a little activated at first, but that's just part of healing, right? That's like peeling back the onion, right?
Yeah.
A layer at a time. So how your experience, right? You felt more activated or energized, right? You could feel energy.
Yeah, I was gonna say my first experience with you was very similar to that. Like in the beginning, I'm like, because I thought it was gonna be like similar to meditation since I meditate, and then I'm like, oh, we're just gonna be like Zen, and we're gonna control, like focus on the breathing. But then I'm like, no, this feels like I'm doing like a workout, and it was like things were kind of like pumping. But then at the end of it all, just like you said, it felt like after an intense workout or like after like an intense massage session, because sometimes the massages it hurts in the moment when they're like getting the knots, right?
Yeah.
But like once everything's over, you kind of feel that whole body just calming down, and then you feel so much lighter. And then I totally felt it afterwards. So, what um what's the so you mentioned like oxygen reaching some of parts of the body that's probably not getting enough and things like that. What's actually happening inside the body when you're going through a breath work session?
So we're calming the stress response. So the sympathetic nervous system, right? The fight, flight, or freeze response.
Yeah.
We want to calm that. And the breath work flips on the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest, the digest, the calming, the healing state that you want to be in. And so many of us are kind of stuck in that sympathetic nervous system state, right? And we don't really allow our bodies to rest and to relax. And you want to be in that state because you want to heal, right? We don't want to keep having the same experiences or having the same thoughts or feeling those same emotions or stuffing them back down, because I feel like that's what people do. Like we don't want to feel anxious, so sometimes we could just distract ourselves by doing other things, but sometimes we also need to feel it because it's just going to keep coming back again. And it's like, hello, how many times am I going to show up before you acknowledge me? Right? And I feel like that's what the breath works like, therapy without having to talk about anything, right? It's just like just breathing and
Yeah.
just shut everything down. You don't have to create a story around what you're feeling. You just have to feel, right? It takes the mental part out of it. And it's just more about being real. What are you feeling? Allowing yourself to experience it so then it can leave. Right? So it doesn't keep showing back up another time and another time, right?
Yeah, I feel like you're 100% spot on. Like the thing is like we tend to like when we feel something like anxiety popping up, we tend to distract ourselves, and then it doesn't make the problem go away. It just means that we're just focusing on something else. That's where like people doom scroll for hours, or they'll take a Xanax, and then because Xanax doesn't heal your anxiety, it just masks it with a quote unquote a high, right? But and it's the same thing with sleep. When people have very poor sleep quality due to like their sleep hygiene, like they're using their phones before bed or they're drinking alcohol before bed, like consistently, or just like having consistent sleep time. You can mask the underlying problem by taking sleeping medications, but then that doesn't. You might get the 8 hours of sleep, but then you're still building sleep debt because your body doesn't reach that deep sleep, deep REM sleep it needs to actually heal. And then it's the same thing with like anxiety, stress. If we don't do something about the anxiety and stress that's in us right now, we just kind of keep pushing it back down, it can go into something more serious. Like I believe that's kind of like how panic attacks come out of nowhere, where it happens to like many people who just kind of pushed down their anxiety for decades, and and then just like a random straw, which is like a small lemon, gets thrown at them in life. And it's not that single event that happened, but then it's the accumulation of decades of anxiety, stress, emotional damage, sleep debt that just kind of floods out. And then that's why after the first panic attack, it's not like you just had a panic attack and you're good, but then now you have all this, the anxiety lingers, and then the fight or flight lingers, and it lingers for a very long time until people, until you do something to tackle that. Would you,
Definitely.
yeah, would you say breath work is, what are some of the biggest things that your breathwork clients come to you with? Is it anxiety, or is it sleep, or is it stress? What are the symptoms they come to you for help with?
Yeah, it's all of those. It's sleep, it's anxiety, social anxiety, it's relationship issues, anger, right? When things just come out, like feeling out of control, um, fears, like people in the climate of what's going on in the world today, just political things, people are activated, really any of those feelings. And a lot of times it's also empathic people, people who are feeling everything. So, like an empath is someone who's very sensitive to energy, and you could, like, let's say you're a mom and your kids are upset, or your partner's upset, and you could feel their emotions, right? And you're very sensitive to that. A lot of times, the people who could also have panic attacks are very open to feeling everybody else's things. So it's a way of learning, what's mine, what's somebody else's. I don't need to carry everybody else's emotions too, right? That's also something that happens. And to release that during the breath work, right? Also, you know what? Sometimes what we're carrying has been passed down through our DNA. So you could have trauma from your ancestors, from, generations past. And it doesn't have to define you. You don't have to keep experiencing these things. Like, that's something else you can clear. It's just in the body, in the nervous system. And the answer really is getting into that parasympathetic state, getting into that calm state, quieting that prefrontal cortex brain that just is judgmental, calming that vagus nerve, right? And
Yeah,
feeling your emotions and acknowledging it and feeling it and letting it pass through. And you know what? It's interesting because I just had a client yesterday, and we did the breath work, and she said to me, what I was doing was in my inhales, I was thinking of a positive mantra. And on my exhale, I was imagining, the emotions are leaving me, which is really great. But it's still like that control that we don't want to let go of, like I think that we're all used to that. Like, we don't want to let go. We're trying to keep everything together. And even, when I'm breathing, I need to think something. And it's kind of like just trying to learn to let all that go, bring the energy down into the body,
yeah,
relax a bit.
that's that's beautiful. I feel like our society is where our medical side for healing, for healing just the physical ailments, we're pretty advanced. The amount of like science is pretty good at that. But then, like if you have a cut, like everyone knows, you disinfect it, put on a band-aid, or maybe put on some ointment or things like that. If you have a burn, first degree burn, second degree burn, third degree burn, there's exact steps on how to heal that. A broken bones, surgeons know exactly how to heal that, but then we're not taught how to heal our mental side of things. And I love that you're sharing a very powerful tool to mental health, because it's I feel like mental health is more of like people didn't really talk about the problems with mental health, and they've always like kind of pushed things down, and after decades and generations of that, it's led to a really bad crisis where so many people are struggling with mental health. And I love that you're sharing a way for these people to actually start healing all this trauma, all these built up damage, and all this anxiety that's been just storing up for years. And especially in the time right now when there's like a lot of chaos all over the world, and there's like a lot of stress all over the world. And so, and the thing is, it's also like social media plays a big factor to it, because when there was no social media, you didn't hear about all the stress that's happening to everyone else. But then now everyone else's stress is now because more of your stress. So this is a time when we need stuff like this more than ever. I believe that's what I believe.
I agree.
And then, like for me, like despite me telling so many people like how important tools like exercise, meditation, or diet is to mental health, I always get pushback from people. They go like, exercising isn't going to help me with my mental health. I'm like, even if I give you studies, you're probably not going to read them. But then the thing is, there's always skeptics out there, right? And then do you get like similar pushbacks with like breath work, and how do you kind of respond to skeptics uh, on breath work?
I feel like it has to resonate with people, and it has to be the right time for them. Sometimes it's just their energy's not lined up to even hear that. Like they can't go there. And I understand that. Like one of my clients I was talking with this morning, and she was saying, you know, I found the breath work, I struggled with it because I do energy healing with her. And I said, I know you struggled with it. I said, but that's an opportunity to go into that struggle and feel that feeling, right? Because a lot of times we're pushing, there's pushback on the things that could really help you. You know what I mean? Like when you know you need it but you're not doing it, like that's an opportunity to do it anyway. Feel the feelings that you're feeling, and maybe that will open doors to other things you're having pushback on, other things you're not allowing into your life, right?
Mhm.
Because it's not just breath work, there's other things that you could, like walking, or you right, exercising. And how,
Yeah,
yeah, you're tired because your muscles are the power, have mitochondria, right? And that's the energy producer of your body. And if you're not exercising, you have less mitochondria. So you're actually more tired, right? It's definitely exactly what you said earlier about exercise,
yeah,
and how there's stress in the body and we hold it in, and movement helps, breathing helps, listening to yourself helps, right? When
yeah,
you feel like, oh, maybe I'll go outside, and then you don't do it, you go on your phone instead, right? Yeah, like catching yourself and listening to that, to the first message you get, and not, you know, denying it. Because I think that's what we do a lot also. Like we're trying, our intuition's there, giving you hints, telling you what to
yeah,
do, and then we'll be like, nah, that's too easy. I need to do XYZ. You know, make it harder on ourselves.
yeah. Yeah, it's like one of those things like they know it's a problem that like they need to tackle. It's been kind of like bugging them. But it's people are willing to just take that slow pain a very for the rest of their lives, rather than just facing the problem and dealing with a kind of bigger pain for the moment, the pain of like trying something new, the pain of uncomfortability, the pain of stepping into um, of 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 facing your problems, because facing any problems is painful, but then it's more painful for the moment, but then it helps in the longer run. But then I feel like many people are just more comfortable with that gradual with that a small background pain for a very long periods of time until it's kind of like until it builds up into something a little bit bigger, and at that point they're kind of forced to change.
Right.
Um,
When it punches you in the face
yeah,
and you cannot deny it any longer, then you
yeah,
finally would be open to trying something, right?
yeah. It's yes, that's why preventative medicine is not as popular. Even though I feel like preventative medicine is as important as the other side when things have already happened. But um, can you share some of your? So you've been sharing some of the stories with some of your clients. Can you share one of your coolest success stories you've had with your
Um,
client?
yes. Okay. So I had a client. Well, I've had a few, like one woman who hadn't slept through the night in I don't know how many years. And after her first breath work, she's like, I slept through the night. This is amazing. This hasn't happened to me in years. So she's been coming. I find that, you want to build a muscle, you need to be consistent and you need to keep going. It's the same thing with breath work. It's not like you're going to do one and done and cleared every emotion you have all stored and all the stress leaves once, right? Your body
Yeah.
would never allow that to happen, right? And it's a process. It's a practice, and it requires consistency and practice, daily practice, or at least showing up for yourself, giving a try. I had a client who was dizzy. I think I might have told you this story. He was dizzy. He had long haul COVID symptoms and he couldn't exercise and he was having trouble driving because he was dizzy. He's like, I'll go to do a sit up. And I'm like, whoa. He's like, and this has been going on for 6 weeks. We did a breathwork session, and the next morning he woke up and it was gone. He's like, it's completely gone. He's like, what did you do to me? I said, I didn't do it. You did it. You fixed yourself with your breath. So I think that's cool, right?
That is so cool. Yeah, it is. And I know a lot of you guys watching, I hear long COVID so much. You guys have to work with Ginette. We're gonna go into more details on how you guys can connect with Ginette. But I also completely agree with. It's like there's nothing that's good for you in life. It's like one and done. Oh, okay, maybe there's like surgeries and things like that. But then when it comes to our mental health, it's because even if even if it did heal everything for the last however many years you lived, tomorrow there's going to be something that's going to stress you out, and tomorrow there's going to be something that makes you anxious. So anything regarding to mental health is a lifelong practice because there's always things both external and internal, because like maybe you couldn't get a good night's rest because you had a dinner with your family and went late into the night. There's always things happening that's going to hurt your mental health. So you need to always be practicing things that help your mental health. So completely agree with you with with the consistency things. It's like you need to. It's a lifelong habit. And
Yeah, definitely. Being aware, right? Also,
yeah.
caring about the way you feel. I feel like people have to care about the way they feel, and it doesn't happen until something major happens. This is
Mhm.
kind of the pattern I see, right? With it
Yeah.
has to punch you in the face, and then you're like, can't deny this anymore. I'm sorry to cut you off. What were you going to say?
No. You're spot on. You're spot on. If someone wanted to like get started on breath work, like what's like an actionable first step for them? Um, like let's say a complete newbie who've never heard of breath work themselves. What can he or she do?
Well, I feel like it's always good to first check in, realize you're breathing, right? Don't even need to change it, but experience your breathing, feeling the air coming in, your chest expanding, and feel the breath leaving. I feel like it's always good to start with just even breathing. whether it's through your nose, through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth, whatever you want, just even slower breaths. So you could just, let's inhale for 4 and exhale for 4. And just keep it up for 5 minutes. Set your timer. If that stresses you out, start with 1 minute. Just start easy, just doing something like that, just focusing on the breath, counting in, counting out. It just quiets the mind and stops thinking the thoughts that you're normally thinking, which get you into trouble. You know what I mean? Those thoughts like, oh, shh.
The monkey in the brain that has like the little clamming things. It's just constantly, yeah, I overthink a lot. So that monkey is he has a lot of muscles. I mean, he's always constantly driving me wild.
Okay, so something for when your mind is scrambled,
Yeah.
thinking about a lot of things at once, which is what can happen to me, especially in the morning. That's when, like mind hack, bam, right? Breathing, getting myself calm. But I have the tendency, like my brain is quick, like, I call it like a busy bee mind. That's what happens. So this is something you could do. Would you like me to like share something?
Yes.
Okay. So you can rub your hands together, shake them out. Okay, this is called the cook posture. So put your arms out in front of you. You flip your hands over. You cross your right over your left. Clasp your hands, sorry. Draw them in. Actually, it really doesn't matter what you start with. Now, take one. Now, okay, you have your knee, so be careful. All you have to do is crush your ankle if you can. If you can't,
Okay.
leave it. Okay, and just we're going to breathe here. So you can breathe however you want. You're going to breathe in through your nose. Out through your mouth. So we're going to do 4 breaths. So keep breathing. Good. Do one more breath. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. They're down and up by your ears. Okay, good. Now, uncurl your arms. Back to back, left over the right. Bring them in. And you could switch your ankles. Relax your shoulders. We're going to breathe 4 times this way. Good. One more breath. Good. Now, last part. Put your fingertips together. Put your thumbs between your eyebrows and uncross your ankles and breathe 4 times this way. And breathe in one more time. When you exhale, bring your fingertips into your forehead, pull across, pause at your temples. Breathe in, breathe out, and trace over your ears, down your neck, and hang on your shoulders. It's hard with your muscles. And then drop your hands. And then just see, did you notice a shift? Do you
I
feel calmer?
I feel like I just did like a 10-minute meditation session, but then it wasn't like a meditation. Like my body definitely feels calmer. What does the hand motions do to the body while you're breathing?
Okay, so we're crossing our energy.
Yeah.
Just that pose, which is so interesting. Like when I do it, I feel like it turns down a dial. Like it's like,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm more focused and calm. It helps when you're having a conversation with someone so that your words come across as you mean for them to come across. It actually reduces your stress hormones. It does so much. It unscrambles the brain so you can think clearer, and also helps with sleep. So you could do it like this would be a great practice for everybody in the morning. You're laying in bed, you know, breathe,
Yeah.
switch your hands, breathe, breathe, right? Easy. And maybe before bedtime, add it and see if it shifts your sleep. And then be consistent because it all builds, right? Make it a practice. Add it in. You know, you're ready laying in bed. Why? Just grab your hands, bring them in, give it a try.
Amazing. What was that called again?
That's called the cook posture.
Cook
And I do
posture.
different little energy techniques during my breath work, depending on what I see the group needs. Well, I'll bring something in and teach them something that they can do that can help them. Or if they have an intention that week of something that's going on, I'll be like, okay, let's try this, and I'll teach them something they can do.
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot calmer, and it's like I just did like a meditation session, or I just took another scoop of calm, or it's just like one of those like yeah, because all these tools they all go towards just the reason why I have these tools is just to tackle my overthinking because my overthinking leads to my anxiety. So I'm like, if I can tackle my overthinking, and then I love this. I'm definitely going to be starting this, starting my day with this. If for those of you listening, if you guys wanted to have a free breathwork session with Ginette, I'm going to leave a link down for it in the description below. Um, and if you guys, I was going to say, if you guys have questions for Ginette, you could probably just ask her during the session. But then, and then I want to do like a quick pivot to calm. You mentioned taking a scoop of calm in the morning. What got you to want to give calm a try?
I purchased Calm for my children because they have a lot of anxiety. Um, my daughter, it's harder to get her to take it because she's, at college, and then comes back and she complains. But I'm like, we really have to start. And I told her we're going to start taking it at night because I know for me and my son, we did feel like a little bit tired the first few days, which is fine. But then after that, it was like, it's just it's just so calming. I mean, like perfect name, right? Calm.
Yeah.
For him, he gets like anxious about things going on in the world, if he sees the news, and then it spirals. And he's like, I'm spiraling, Mom. I'm like, did you take it? Did you take your mind hack? Oh, yeah. And then he'll take it. And then it's just, it's not like a hit you over the head change. It's just like you notice you're not doing that anymore. It's great because it's subtle, but it does make a big difference.
Yeah.
And for me also, because I started. I'm sorry to mean to cut you off. Like
No, no, go ahead.
I started because I'm always like, whenever I'm giving them, I'll trial for myself also, and I don't really see myself as anxious. I mean, like I told you, like my mind is busy, and I have like different techniques I would do to ground myself because I could be up in my head too much. But I was like, wow, this really made a really big shift in me. So I was like, wow, I didn't even consider myself anxious, and I felt a change. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I actually get that like a similar story like that from so many parents. They go like, I'm gonna try this first before I give this to my child. They're like, okay, I finished the jar myself, but I need to order more for myself and for my child. Like,
Exactly.
well, always welcome to have more people into the Calm family. But I definitely think it's just having multiple tools. First off, just for because different tools tackle the mental health in different ways. Um, so like meditation, exercise, breath work, just even things like diet, proper sleep, and just so you and tackling mental health is very complex, so it's always good to have like as many tools as you can. And also just because some tools you can use it in some circumstances and better than another. Like for example, if you can't exercise if you're on a boat, or maybe you can, but like like you are like on a hike. It's you won't have some. You'll have some tools available, some tools you won't. But if you're on a hike, one tool that opens up is grounding, like taking off your shoes and maybe going on a walk with your bare foot. So just having multiple tools in your pocket just allows you to just have a much stronger base, because anxiety and just stress in life is always going to throw lemons at you, and you just want to have as much defense as you can to to fight back, right? Um, but love to hear that it's working for both you and your son, and hopefully we can get your daughter on board in the near future as well.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I, I always love to wrap up the podcast with three random speed round questions just to throw you curveballs. Are you ready for it, Jeanette?
Hmm.
Okay. First one is outside of breath work. I just mentioned having a lot of the importance of having many tools in your mental health toolbox. What's another big tool you keep in your toolbox for mental health?
Gardening, noticing nature, being around bees, butterflies, noticing that, looking at the clouds when I'm going for a walk, making sure I get
Love,
enough sleep, and drinking enough water. I feel like that's important too, because I feel like a lot of people are dehydrated, and that helps move energy also, right? Being well hydrated and drinking enough water. Okay, I told you a bunch.
no, that's perfect. I love it. I love it. What's the biggest thing that's on your bucket list, and you know you're going to cross this off your bucket list, but you just haven't had a chance to get to it yet?
Maybe, well, I'm going with the first thing that pops in my head for you. So it's not a bucket list, more of a goal. Okay.
Okay.
So I like to work on different kinds of squats. Like I do shrimp squats and pistol squats, and I'm working on a dragon squat. So that's my next thing. I do it on a little platform, but I want to get it where I'm on the ground and able to do it. So, and
Wow.
if you don't know what that is, look that one up. It's a cool squat.
I'm 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 gonna look it up because it's squats as in like squats for your leg exercise, right? Just to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah, like a pistol, one-legged squats. I do a lot of single-legged squats. And I
I
always like
got it.
have goals for myself, like, what can I do next? Like I was telling my daughter too, I'm like, let's get press handstands this summer. And like, I'll just pick
Yeah.
something. I'm like, let's work towards it. I like to have a goal to work towards.
I I think working towards goal is just so crucial just for like having just seeing yourself progress an inch closer and closer to a goal. It just keeps you so motivated and just makes life a little bit more cheerful. And it's really, I feel like it's really, that's another important tool for mental health, just working towards a goal. And it doesn't have to be as for someone who's like a little bit less athletic, it doesn't have to be as big as like doing a crazy exercise. It can be like this week I'm only able to walk for 3 minutes. Like next week I want to go for four. Just like as long as you're continuously progressing, I feel like that's all that's what matters most.
Definitely. Yeah.
If you can give your younger self one piece of advice, what age are you talking to? Which age Ginette are you talking to? And what will be the advice?
Okay, the age I thought of was 13, and it was stop being so hard on yourself, right? I
Yeah,
just remember being so so judgmental and not feeling good enough and worrying about, what do you look like and what are people thinking of me? And gosh, I feel like
yeah,
it's so much worse nowadays with social media, but that's what I would, stop worrying so much. You're fine. Be easier on yourself.
yeah. That's. I feel like many many people listening. That's a really good advice to just even hear right now. Just because, especially with social media, there's just like so much comparison and so much being harsh. A lot of people are just so harsh on themselves, and we need to love ourselves more. Like we just need more love in this world overall. Um, but uh,
Wholeheartedly agree.
well, Jeanette, I truly appreciate you for taking the time to hop on. And as mentioned earlier, guys, if you guys want to have a free breathwork session with Jeanette, I've had one and it was amazing. I'm going to leave a link down below. And if you guys have any questions for breathwork, I usually go like leave a comment, but you guys can ask her yourself. So during the session. But yeah, thank you all for listening. I hope you all have a healthy and happy day. Peace.